Alright, what's up YouTubers? It is Keith here again, you guys. Coming back, making another video. As you guys probably see on the title, it's probably going to throw a couple of you off, but I said I would talk about it, and that's what I am going to talk about. I have no problem with it. Just keeping it real. You guys know me, I make videos on different subjects. I don't have a specific genre that I stick to. So this one is going to be about my experience growing up as a Jehovah's Witness in the Jehovah's Witness organization, what that life was all about for me, what it exposed me to, how it was growing up in a family like that, and the lifestyle, and how I exited and how I moved on and started a new life, and where I am today as a Christian. So this is probably going to be in a couple series, you guys, just because of the gravity of the topic. If you guys don't want to watch this, you don't have to. This is just a little bit more of me getting to know me on a personal level, and I value all my subscribers and people who follow me and support me and my channel. And so this is my way of letting you guys know a little bit more about me. So my parents, my mother grew up as a Methodist. My father grew up, Catholic. They met each other when they were in their late teens, 18, 19. Fell in lust and got together. I am from a family of four. There's 4 children. I have an older brother and an older sister, and I have a younger sister. I'm the third child, so I'm the middle child. Now, around 1978-ish, Jehovah's Witnesses came to my mom's door. She answered. They loved on her, and hook, line, and sinker, she became a Jehovah's Witness shortly after that. And that was it. Shortly after that, I was born. Shortly after that time period. And so I grew up knowing nothing but Jehovah's Witness and the organization. So this video, you guys, that's the story of how my mom became a Jehovah's Witness. So I was born into it. So the video, you guys, is going to probably be in a couple series, like I said, but I'm going to be talking about titles and names. A lot of people who are watching this, if you're familiar with the Jehovah's Witness organization or Jehovah's Witnesses, or you know someone who's a Jehovah's Witness, this is going to be directed towards you guys. So I know everybody's heard of Jehovah's Witnesses at one time or another. So my mom became a Jehovah's Witness. My father never converted. He was never a man of faith. He was a different character, to say the least. He probably liked the fact that my mom was Jehovah's Witness and raising us as Jehovah's Witness, because he probably didn't have to worry about buying birthday presents or Christmas gifts or trick-or-treat Halloween costumes or anything like that. So he was that type of guy. So he didn't really care. He wasn't going to tell us, he wasn't going to go. He wasn't going to try and become a Jehovah's Witness, but at the same time, he wasn't going to condone my mom for becoming a Jehovah's Witness. So we grew up in an organization, and growing up in a family where the parents don't share the same faith is very confusing. And especially growing up as a Jehovah's Witness child, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Jehovah's Witnesses, and only Jehovah's Witnesses, are going to survive Armageddon, and everybody else is just gonna die. not go to hell, because Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in hell, but just be wiped out of existence. No conscious, their spirit doesn't pass on to another place. They're just spiritually, physically just gone. And so with that idea growing up as a young child, knowing that my father wasn't Jehovah's Witness, but my mother was, knowing that if Armageddon came any day, that we would all survive. But sorry, Dad, you're not. Should have been a Jehovah's Witness. So that's very confusing as a young child, and it was very hard coming to grasp with that. No matter how much we love Dad or whatever, he ain't gonna make it. He's not gonna be living forever like we are. So that was hard. That's a hard pill to swallow, especially at a young age. Now, growing up in that household was dysfunctional already. It wasn't a house filled with happiness and joy. We had good times, but it was a hard childhood growing up. So, with that being said, my mother grew up in a dysfunctional family as well, and they don't hardly talk, and it's bad. It's still dysfunctional to this day. And I know some of you may say, well, every family has their issues. Yeah, well, my mother never faced those demons. And when the Jehovah's Witnesses welcomed her into the organization and kind of loved on her and bred her into being a Jehovah's Witness, she didn't really need her family. She had a new family. And it's not like a wholesome spiritual family, your brothers and sisters. It's kind of like, I have this life now, and I don't have that life. And that's how Jehovah's Witnesses kind of view everyone who's not a Jehovah's Witness. It's kind of this arrogant, we know the truth attitude. And if you're a person of the world, you're just like less. We weren't allowed to, of course, at all, weren't allowed to associate with anybody who was a non-believer of Jehovah's Witnesses or was in the world. We couldn't associate with anybody who wasn't Jehovah's Witness. So your whole network of friends is only Jehovah's Witnesses. And that was hard, because even as a young child, I had lots of friends that were just good friends, nice people, but we couldn't have them over. They couldn't come over because they were worldly. They weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, so we couldn't associate with them outside of school. And so there's lots of things that me and my brothers and sisters didn't allow to partake in because of the beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses. We weren't allowed to, of course, everybody knows that Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate any holidays at all. But they do celebrate weddings and graduation ceremonies and anniversaries, and once a year they celebrate the memorial, which is the basically in remembrance of the Last Supper, and they pass the emblems, which is the unleavened bread and the wine, but they don't partake. No one partakes. No one. Only the 144,000, which in the book of Revelation, prophecy book of Revelation, speaks about the 144,000. Well, they believe that it's only 144,000 who can partake of the emblems. And it's kind of weird, because now as a Christian I realize that that's a complete blasphemy and completely goes against what Jesus instructed us to do. So, and I want you guys to know right now that I'm speaking for myself and the experiences that I've experienced growing up and was exposed to. And so everybody has their own view, and that's fine. That's fine. But I know the truth about the truth. And I'm sharing it because as a Christian, it's my duty to bring light where there's darkness, and educate people who may be on the border of studying with one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But growing up as Jehovah's Witnesses, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't participate in any extracurricular activities, anything to do with the school. Couldn't be in plays, couldn't be in any sports at all. No sports. Like baseball, football, tennis, basketball, soccer, badminton, golf, like anything. We couldn't be in anything. And if we wanted to play sports, we could only play sports with Jehovah's Witnesses. So that was rough. And then we couldn't, you can't do anything. You can't serve in the law enforcement or military. You can't be anything that's serves the government. You can't. You can't do anything that serves the government, because when you serve this government or the state, even the state, you take an oath. And Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in taking oaths, because their oath is to Jehovah, God. Now, let me get something straight for the first, right out the gate. Jehovah's Witnesses as a totality, as a whole, there's a lot of good people. There's a lot of loving, honest, warm-hearted people, individuals. There's people like that around the whole world. So there is those people in the Jehovah's Witness organization that are just good people, and they genuinely loving. But sadly, they're misled by an organization, and they base all their faith on what comes out of the Watchtower and Tract Society, or what comes from the governing body. The governing body is the head chairman that bring all the spiritual food to the flock. So Bethel, it was the main headquarters, and that's where the main headquarters are for the Jehovah's Witness organization, which is the corporation, the actual corporation of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a business. The actual corporation of Jehovah's Witnesses is the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society. Now, I'm not going to go into it totally, because that's just, there's many videos here on YouTube that you can just, there's a lot of stuff out there about Jehovah's Witnesses. That's true. Charles Sayes Russell, the founding father of the organization, before they were donned the name Jehovah's Witnesses, they were called the Bible Students. But anyways, I'm not going to go into the history of Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'm just going to relate to my experiences. And I want to say this, that people watching this video will comment, and there's people who are Jehovah's Witnesses that are looking at these videos and trying to, and leaving comments, trying to persuade people that everything said is false, or all of that stuff, and that makes you kind of question yourself, because Jehovah's Witnesses cannot read anything about Jehovah's Witnesses if it doesn't come from the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society. If it doesn't come from the governing body, don't read it. It's apostate literature. An apostate is someone who speaks against the governing body or the Jehovah's Witness organization. I am not an apostate. I'm just telling you facts and truth. So that's what I'm doing. Getting back to the Jehovah's Witness organization, it was very hard growing up like that, because your elders of the congregation and your mother, your parents, they're not with you in school explaining to the teachers and students why you can't pledge allegiance to the flag. So why you can't participate in holiday activities. It sucked. It was very hard. And of course you could say, well, that's a test of faith. No, it's not. It's not. That is, it's brainwash. And my mom was radical. Like, she was radical. We would study the Watchtower and Awake. That's the publications that Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door with. And on Sundays, the Watchtower is studied at the Kingdom Halls. They're not called churches. That's called Kingdom Halls. That's where they have the religious meetings. They're called Kingdom Halls. So on Sundays, you go over the Watchtower study for that week. And studying for it, my mom would make us sit there and study for hours, 4 kids, and hours and hours and hours. And if we'd fall asleep, she'd have like a cane or a stick or a ruler, and she'd smack us on the hand or something to wake us up. It was abuse, is what it was. We didn't have a choice. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to be kids. There wasn't any joy. It was very sad. And if we weren't studying the Watchtower, we were studying for book study. So let me explain it to you. This is how it goes down. There's 3 meetings during the week. At least that's how it was when I was growing up. There was the Tuesday night theocratic ministry school, where it's 2 hours. So theocratic ministry school when I was growing up was 2 hours long. And so they would practice witnessing to the door or reading scripture. So you would have your theocratic ministry school on Tuesdays, and then on Thursdays we would have what was called book study, and we would go over a book, not the Bible, a book that the Watchtower and Tract Society published that was about various things, anything, but they're pretty thick books, but we would go over them at book study, and that would be in a small group session at an individual's house. So it would be a smaller group, anywhere from 15 to 25 people in a small group, a couple families, and they would have this book study. That would be on Thursday nights, and that was like an hour or an hour and a half, something. And then on Sunday we would have the 2-hour meeting, which we would go over the Watchtower study, and there'd be a public talk from an elder. So those are 3 meetings. Now, the rest of the time, you're studying for the meetings, and you're going door to door on the weekends. So it was extremely exhausting. Little kids, man. Little kids doing this. And, you know, it's hard, man. I mean, you're exposed to a lot of stuff. Like, people are rude. People are, and it's just, it was hard, okay? And so, growing up as an adolescent, that was hard doing. Studying, it was just exhausting. And as we became teenagers, me and my brother and sisters, things started to get bad. We started getting exposed to, let me put it this way. Everything my mom wanted to keep us safe from being in the world, we got exposed to within the Kingdom Hall walls, within the organization, within our congregation. And not the little stuff, I'm talking about the bad stuff, like the really bad stuff. Drug abuse, drugs, alcohol abuse, sex, molestation, rape, just verbal abuse, just bad stuff, man. And we were all exposed to it at one time or another, and my mother kept going. I mean, I get it. She uses the Jehovah's Witness organization as a crutch because she has a lot of personal problems and issues that she hasn't faced. And she's still a Jehovah's Witness to this day. She's a pioneer, regular pioneer, which means she goes out door to door every day. She witnesses out on the street, coffee shops, walks around, malls. She's all about it. Now, my younger sister is still a Jehovah's Witness as well. Now, growing up, the 4 of us children, my brother and 2 sisters were baptized at a very young age. We're talking 11, 12, 13, 14 type age. So they were baptized very early. And as the years progressed, they got into trouble like normal teenagers do. And they got disfellowshipped. Now, what that means is that they're basically cut off. No one can talk to them. You're basically shunned. It's horrible. And people who talk about it like it's good are people who've never been disfellowshipped or never been in a family that had a disfellowshipped person. And how you get disfellowshipped is we all sin. Everybody sins every day. The difference is Jehovah's Witnesses, if they get caught doing a sin, or if a sin is surfaced, they go before 3 men, 3 elders of the congregation, that's called a judicial committee. And they're going to decide whether you are repentful or not of your sin. They are. Not God, not Jesus Christ, but they are. Of course, assuming that they're being given divine direction. Okay? 3 men. And so they, at the end of this judicial committee, basically like a court hearing, if you're found not repentful, not by Jesus Christ or God himself, but by 3 men, you can be disfellowshipped and disowned and emotionally destroyed. And it sucks, because I've seen many people get disfellowshipped. I've seen many families getting broken. And Jehovah's Witnesses organization only breeds insecurities and fear. Not a wholesome, godly fear, but a fear of mankind, a fear of man, and a fear of losing relationships. So, do Jehovah's Witnesses sin? Yes. But they keep it so locked up, so secret, because if it gets out, it can destroy their life. And so when Jehovah's Witnesses sin, they sin big. They sin real big. Real big. I mean, I started smoking and drinking. I mean, we're talking like preteen, teenage. And you might think, well, yeah, so did I. Yeah, okay, but I did it in a Jehovah's Witness organization. Like, that's heavy stuff, man. And when I'm talking like smoking and drinking, I'm talking about all out. Like, crazy. Just crazy. And I got exposed to a lot of bad stuff. Like, we had a close friend growing up. He was my brother's friend, and he was my friend. Well, he was a friend of all of ours, and he was around our age. He was my older sister's age, actually. So, and he tried to like molest me, like straight up, and it came to the surface. I told my mom, his mom, everything. It came out, and nothing happened from that. Like, nothing happened. Basically, his mom said I was lying, and I told my mother, and of course, she kept going to this congregation, and he kept hanging out with us. Now, this guy is the one who introduced us to smoking and drinking and drugs, eventually. But he wasn't the only one. So that happened. And I was young. I was really young, dude. I was probably, I don't know, like 8, probably about 8 years old. You know? And my mom kept going. Allowed us to associate with this kid and her family, and their family. And it didn't stop there. Like other families. There's another family that we grew up with where the dad molested his daughter, and has so much problems now. She got disfellowshipped, and he got like reinstated or something, and then that marriage is still together, and they have kids and grandkids, and it's just weird, you know, like is this real? Like, what? Just weird stuff, man, that you're exposed to. That people, they think that, oh, it's okay. No, it's all right. He was repentant. But you're hanging out with them, with kids and children. Like, you don't think that's okay? Like, I'm sorry. I don't care if a person molested a child. I'm not going to bring my children around him. I don't care if it happened 38 years ago. It ain't going to happen. Like, good. You know, God bless you. God, you forgive it. Okay, I'm still not going to associate with you just because that's my choice. And I'm sorry. If you're forgiven, you're forgiven. All right, but I'm not going to expose my children. That's just me. That's a whole lot of people who are like, that's common sense. So that happened. And I can go on and on. I've been talking already for about a little over 20 minutes. I'm probably going to talk a little more. If you guys can still hang with me, I'll make another video. But by the time we got teenagers, my brother and two sisters were disfellowshipped because they sinned. The only reason why they came back was to have a relationship with the only people they know. You know? It's horrible. It's depressing. And so they came back, got reinstated. That's where they can talk to you now. And horrible. And you know what's funny? Is that like my brother, my sister, they didn't change. They just played the system. They just, oh yeah, I'm repentful, yeah, yes, thank you, Jehovah, thank you, elders, yeah, I really want to come back. They're like, okay, all right, you're back in. It's like, sweet. Did they stop doing what they were doing? Hell no. Hell no. So, but they got to speak to their mom and their friends and all that stuff. But the scarring is still there, and the abuse. I'll speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for my sisters or my brother, but when I was at the age of 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, that was the worst, because I never got baptized. And I'll tell you the reason why. When you get baptized, you have to study before you get baptized. There's a couple of books that you have to go through, like one or two, reasoning with the scriptures or something like that. And then you answer, like study guide. And then you get baptized and you're officially called a Jehovah's Witness. But I was studying with a older man. He was older, and we became good friends. And he became a ministerial servant, where you hand out microphones and you have responsibilities, like you have to work the counter at the whatever. But anyways, he became a good friend. And we were studying the book together, going through that. And I was about 15 years old. And I was 14, I think. I was 14 years old. But he ended up molesting me. And this was a person that I was studying with to become a Jehovah's Witness, and a friend. He was older than me, and it was horrible. Very, very hard. You guys, I don't want you guys to feel sorry for me, and this may be heavy for some of you to hear that, but that's the truth, and it happened to me, and it happens to a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses. And this is the person I was studying with to become a Jehovah's Witness. This is an individual who had a position. And so that happened. Shortly after that, and I didn't tell anyone. It was very hard to go through. As you can imagine, I was a 14-year-old kid, man. I was a kid in junior high, for Christ's sake. And I was confused. It was a horrible thing to experience. And at that time, 15 years old, time passed, 15 years old, and I became sexually active. And there was a married couple that was going to our congregation that we befriended, my sister and my brother. And we would go over there and drink, you know, and smoke. Stay the nights there. This is a married couple, and we were allowed to go over there and stay the night with a married couple.